In this video I will explore Laravel routing and routes. So basically I will use a few of these type of routes that is in the documentation of Laravel and explore them. So let's create a project. If you don't know how to start a project, see the getting started page. There you will see the main commands for this. So let's get into the Laravel routing folder and start PHP artisan serve to start my Laravel project. So let's see if it works. It does. I have a Laravel project working with everything I need, I hope. So to start, let's see the basic routing and copy and paste this example of a greeting request. Looks really straightforward. So let's go to the web file. Here I have a default to the welcome page where it's rendering the welcome view, and I will add a new one with a greeting. And what I expect is to actually see an hello world in our web page. So if I do /greeting, I have hello world, so it's working. Now let's look at API, where we add our API routes. Here Laravel create a default middleware half with user route. These are actually the main methods. I'm more interested in this match and any method, but for now let's add a greeting method inner in API to see if it works. Yeah, I will copy and paste the other exactly as is the same, and I will save it, and now I will open it in Postman. You can use a different application to test your routes. I will just add it here, the URL API greetings. There is no header, no authorization or parameters whatsoever. So let's send and see if it works. It does. It's returning the hello world. So noted that when we are doing requests to API routes, we need to add a /API. Now let's take a look here in the methods again. I will not explore all the methods. They are really normal, that get, post, delete, patch, put, they are a crowd. But these options is really interesting to me, because it's not usually see it's much. It's actually a request is typically sent before a course request to check whether the server will allow the request. So I will add this response JSON with the methods and the headers just for testing purposes. So let's go to Postman, select options, really important because we define this method as default. There is no parameters whatsoever. So let's see if it sends what we said. It does, and it's really cool and handy. So now let's be focused on the match method. This is really interesting because we can actually, I will paste this example and explain this route match only will be possible to use with two methods, get and post. And here I will add two if and an else if. Where is the request method is get, I will show it's a get. If it's a post, I will return it's a post. And if it's a different one, it will say that it's only support get and post. So let's see if this works. I'm really interested in this match. So the get works. Okay, if I do the get, now let's see the post to API match method, it works. But if I do delete, it shouldn't work. It doesn't, but it doesn't see, we doesn't see the message we want. only tell us that the delete method is not allowed. So what is really cool, because it doesn't enter in our request and check our if and ifs. So if I had delete here, we should see the message. Exactly, this route supports only get and post requests. What is really cool, and this is why the any route method exists, because we need to add all the methods in our first parameter, and that can be really boring. So we can actually use any to create a request where we can use any type of method. So let's see if this works. So anytime I do a request, doesn't matter what the method is, this will tell us this method is allowed. This supports any method, like put, let's try, I don't know, a post. It works. Doesn't matter what the method is, it will enter there and show us the result we want. Really cool. So let's go for dependency injection. And here I will just probably start with a different example. In my web page and folder, and I will create a controller. So I will inject a controller here. So let's start a new PHP class and call it user controller. Okay, and here I will add a method index where I will return a view called users. This will be added in our views folder, where is in resources views, and I will add a new file. This file need to be called users.blade.php. This is a default name for Blade files, and now I will just add a small HTML with a title and h1 user page title. So what this will do is actually, let's import the class, is use the user controller and the index method to render our view and show our users page. So let's see if it works. So if I get here inside users, it should not found because it's not users, it's actually user. Let's see if it works. It works. So now it shows our users page. Really cool. Now let's see redirect routes. This can be really handy when we want to, let's say, open our welcome page and then we want to show our users page. We can do it with the redirect route. So let's add route redirect welcome to user. Let's see if it works. This is really simple. So if I said welcome and I enter, it will redirect me to the users page. But this can be really handy. Now we can use our route views of view routes, and this actually we can create a route and use directly the or render directly the view. What it kind of useful for small applications. So let's say we want to add a route show name, and we will have a view with a show name, and we'll pass the name to this view as Tyler, for example. So if we go in here to the views, we can create a show name blade and add just a quick HTML where I will say my name is the name and my name is, in this case, Tyler. Okay, this should add this to our view and show the name Tyler. So let's see if it works. It does. So this can be really helpful. Next, I will show you how to run PHP artisan route list. This is really helpful to see our routes of our application. So as we can see, this command lists every single type or every single route we create, and a few more that are defaulted by Laravel. We can filter by the API and things like that. Now for route parameters. Here we can send parameters to our routes to use in different ways. For example purpose, I will just close every single other file and I will paste this example. As you can see, we will call the user /id and I will return user and ID we set in our URL when we are calling this request. Let's see if it works. So if I say user /1, it should the response should be user1, and it does. So this is how we can add parameters to our request. Of course, we can add different information like comments, posts, and things like that to use in our routes. So let's see parameters and dependency injection. Here, let's add a little example, like if we want to return everything we send in our requests, in this case in our body. So let's see, in our route dependency injection we want to show this object user with the name John Doe, and it returns exactly what we sent in our request. So this is probably most straightforward example. And here to see the regular constraint, let's see where we can use actually filters, like we are doing a query in our data directly in our routes. Let's say we have 3 types of categories: movies, songs, and painting. Okay, and we only should see these in our requests. So if I say request movie, it will return me the category is a movie. If it's not a movie or it's a different one, it should not enter in the there, or should show any type of information. Like let's say, for example, She Chimpanzee movie, She Chimpanzee, and exactly it shows as not found. So if we add the movie, it shows us the category. So it's really handy. So let's get a look in groups. Okay, we can group. For this test, we can test this controller with controllers, and I actually will use a different route. I will call it actually orders group, and yeah, it can be this example. And for this, I will first thing we need to do is actually start the controller, where I will just pass the controller I called order controller, and here I have 2 methods as show, where we will show the order ID, and an index we will only return this is the order list. So here, as we can see, we need to import this class, of course, and then every time I call one of these routes, it will use the order controllers. This is really handy for organization purpose and small and coding. That is so here let's test the orders. It returns orders list, and if I use the same but with an ID, it will return me the order IDs, and he is using the same controller. So it's how groups works. Now let's say take a look at model binding. Here we can use a quick example for users, and we will create a model and bind this model to see the information of an user. This actually can be used to take eloquent and use a database. But for now, I will just create this contacts user, it's contacts model, sorry, and I don't need all of this, just the email, but this is for example for purposes. Here I will just inject the data. Don't do this, this is just for a quick example. And here I will just return the email and to see if it binds the model. So doesn't matter what I will send here on the ID, because I will injecting the data on the construct method, but it actually works. It's binding the model, so yeah, it really works. Now let's take a look of fallback routes. This is really cool. Every time we open a route that doesn't exist, we return we have a 404. So let's see if it's true. Like I said, just gibberish. It's a 404. But imagine we want to actually redirect to a page like welcome. So let's close everything and go to the web. And here let's add a fallback where every time something it doesn't exist, I will show the welcome page. And it works, okay? Doesn't matter what the route will be there. If it doesn't exist, returns the welcome page. If it exists, it will show the real the page that exists. So other thing we should explore is this limiting. This is really cool because and powerful for limiting and protect our application for attacks like DOS attacks. And this actually Laravel already have a configuration rate limit that said for API we can only do 60 requests per minute. Okay, so if I just send a few requests, it will work. But if I change this, imagine for 0, it should return me an error, like too many requests. This is really handy to protect us from this type of attacks like brute forcing or something like that. So we can actually do this in our routes directly using the middleware. I create this example user. We'll use our user controller with a throttle 60. So right now it will works. Example user, exactly, it works. But if I want to test it, like says like before 0, it will should exactly it does show us too many requests. So we can protect our routes directly like that, or create throttling things. So to finish, Laravel use cache, okay, to store the route list, and we only should use this in the deployment environments, not in development environments. So I hope you like it, and this is it.